And I challenge all the adventure racers out there not to be a solo racer, but to put together a team of 4, put in your application, and we'll see if you can make it, because half the teams didn't even make it halfway. That's a challenge.
So we've got those failures, and we're both working our ways through it and finding ways to operate outside of it. And nature, obviously, is a huge one for you, finding those connections, detoxing in that way. And while we're talking about some of these failures and these breaking points, we'll circle back around to the race a little bit. You had teams that were motivated, ready to go, in the hopper. I mean, I had some saying, no, we're getting first place no matter what. We're winning, we're finishing, all this stuff. Day one, we've got teams missing cutoff times, running out of water. They're hitting rock bottom already on the first 6 hours of the event. And as the architect of pain, if you will, what did you learn about watching human nature? And what did you learn about human nature by watching these men and women entering those breaking points and then pushing through it?
Well, I'd like to say that the Ryan Larkin 2027 will be open for applications on our website on January 11th. And I challenge all the adventure racers out there not to be a solo racer, but to put together a team of 4, put in your application, and we'll see if you can make it, because half the teams didn't even make it halfway. That's a challenge. So without knowing what I know now, coming into this, all I knew was that me and a couple of guys went and did the dry run, and it was really hard. We finished it. We had a couple of issues above 10,000 feet. Things got really slow. We're struggling to get oxygen. The mileage put a lot of pain and strain on knees and ankles and things like that. One of our guys, we had to tape him up pretty good, but he continued. The addition of challenges was a big deal. And so I questioned, okay, we're going to provide snacks and water and breakfast and dinner and a safe place to sleep. By the way, everyone sleeps at nighttime. So it's not a typical adventure race in that way. We're providing all these things to them. So how much easier is it going to be for them? We're going to ask them to carry a rifle, no hiking sticks, no trekking poles. They're going to have to carry their own water, their own snacks throughout the day, and their sleeping system. Now that's a lot, but that's not as much as we were carrying. We carried everything to survive for 3 days. We're providing aid stations periodically and feeding them at nighttime, things like that. So I thought, okay, I can't make this too easy, but I don't want to make it too hard. So we wanted to make this a points game. And the way that you finish is to make it before nightfall. And if you get day 1, it's a bronze. Day 2, it's a silver. Day 3, it is a gold. But only one team can win platinum. And the only way that you can win platinum is to be the points winner. Now, sure, finishing within a certain time window, we had 2-hour windows to finish within, was either based on your physical prowess or your choice, your strategy. But those will get you a certain number of points. Now, beyond that, we had challenges. We had 8 different challenges. And along the way, if you choose to do that challenge, if you don't finish it, you don't get anything. But if you do finish it, you get a lot of points. But that adds more fatigue. It adds more time. And so what we noticed was that a lot of the teams opted out of the challenges. And so this next year, we're going to give more points, make it more enticing to take on those challenges. But I think that the teams made the right choice, because when you have almost none of the teams doing the challenges and half the teams don't even make it halfway, I think it's hard enough, right? So we'll try to provide more support, especially around foot care and medical next year. We noticed that's the area we could plus up on. We're going to provide more search and rescue capabilities for some of those austere locations. We're going to provide more water, more electrolytes. We're going to support the racers even more, but we're also going to up the challenges. The challenges for this next year, I can't tell you what they are because they're a secret, but I promise you, you're going to love them. It's going to be cool. So I couldn't be more excited.
I love it. I love it. I'm stoked for it. And so we've got the Ryan Larkin Invitational race, and you set the tone. You're like, hey, these people, they need to feel what it's like to be on E&E. They need to feel what it's like to be pushed to their limits, to find those breaking points, right? So I'm not saying that you necessarily wanted people to fail, but you kind of expected that not everyone was going to make it. There would absolutely be people who didn't make it. So why is forcing failure or putting people into this situation to where they're confronted with failure in their own self such a necessary tool for building human resilience?
Yeah, that's a great point. First of all, I did not know that everyone was going to struggle so bad. I thought everyone would finish. I did not realize that it was going to be that hard for people to make it. That first day was a little bit hotter than we expected. Some people planned poorly. They didn't bring enough water, or they packed their packs too heavy and it slowed them down. Unfortunately, that's partly an experience thing, right? And it's hard to have experience in an austere location that you've never been to. Part of it is altitude, I think. But I did the best that I could to explain the difficulty level of this. And I did expect everybody to finish, but only half the teams made it halfway. And so that made me think, did I make this too hard? Should I lighten it up a little bit? Hell no. We're not going to lighten it up a little bit. Next year is going to be even harder. So why would I make it harder? Why would I make it so crazy hard in the first place? Well, first of all, if there's no risk of death, a lot of people, it's not even worth doing, right? If it's just a walk in the park, okay, that's not enough to get out of bed and train. But if you know that not only is this going to be a no shit event that you need to train for, that's motivation to get you up out of bed. That's where you can put your focus. That's where you can find purpose in life. And so if you're able to do that and get motivated about this event, now all of a sudden you're on a journey. And it's not necessarily the race or the finish line that's the biggest part of the journey. It's actually training with your friends for months on end, learning what weaknesses other people have, bonding, having a shared purpose, right? Then once you get out there, whatever happens, happens. I mean, sometimes you roll an ankle, sometimes people get a heat injury or dehydration. That wasn't expected, right? And that's okay. But if it weren't difficult, everybody would be doing it. If it weren't difficult, it wouldn't be worthwhile to finish, right? So we make it hard enough to where you're going to have to work hard to finish this. But if you do, you earned it, right? And there's something really special about team unity and bonding when you have shared suffering and you earn it together. I'm sure the teams that finished will never forget their team or this event ever again.
Absolutely. In so many people's minds, I don't want to just say the civilian world, I don't mean to categorize it like that, but so many people outside of the SEAL teams or special operations or your heavy duty ultra athletes, failure is a lot of times a stopping point. Oh, I failed this class. I failed this task. Oh, it's not for me. All right, I'll move on. But in your race and in the teams, it's a lesson learned. It's a data point. It's something that you refine so that you can come back better. So you did mention, hey, half the guys didn't make it halfway. So what do you want the athletes who didn't finish this year's race? How do you want them to process their failure, or what words would you like to speak to them so that they can see it from the perspective that you would have them see it rather than getting stuck in their own heads on it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a personal journey of reflecting on your own self-value and how you process challenges that you're not able to have the outcome that you want. Part of that is the ego. Part of that is the ego to control our body, control our environment, control outcomes. But the truth is, all we can do is train and do our best. The rest is kind of up to God, right? We don't actually have control over anything outside of ourselves. And so, yeah, sure, maybe you didn't finish the race. Maybe you didn't get what you wanted. But the truth is, you still had the bonding experience. There's no way that you didn't come out there and suffer with your team and not bond and not have a memorable experience. And if you did what you're supposed to do, which is train with your team or solo and then meet with your team on Zoom or whatever adequately in preparation for this race, then you have months of bonding and being a part of this journey. The journey is not about the finish line. A lot of people focus on the finish line. The journey is about this entire process from start to finish, from the decision to do something, through the training, through the communication, through the strategizing, all the way to the end result. The end result doesn't really matter. It's the journey along the way that becomes this really great bonding process.
I love that. I love a lot of your vision here. And your one other thing that you were talking about is it's more than just the event. It's not just race 3 days. It's not just race weekend. It's developing those habits and developing those skills every single day, making yourself a better human every single day, preparing your physical body every single day to enter the arena. You're already in the arena every day, and then you're getting there ready. So it's not just a daily, or it's not just a one time a year event. It's a daily discipline that you are helping people cultivate towards that mission. So we'll transition that to looking forward, right? You've already got the date set on January 11th. They can sign up for the next event every day between now and then in the race. They can be spending their time improving themselves, getting ready for the Crucible. So looking forward, like you said, you raise a lot of funds for the race, and they're going to go help veterans heal, first responders heal, all these things. And you're focusing a lot on sleep and brain health. So why do you believe that sleep is the first domino that has to fall for a warfighter to get their life back together?
Well, I try to look at everything through a team guy lens, right? I'm not getting hyper-focused on sleep. I mean, that's what I do. Everything I do is surrounding sleep. But the truth is, I'm not actually doing anything directly to anyone's sleep. I'm just helping them improve their lives. I'm removing blockers, issues that cause problems for their sleep. I'm helping them get into a behavioral routine. And I'll use an analogy. So this is relevant to the race as well as to my work in sleep science. But, I train jujitsu consistently. I've always been a grappler for 30 plus years. I love it. I've went through many different phases of non-aggression. In my 20s, it was just how many people can I just destroy? So now I really look at the philosophy behind it and the art. But I'll tell you, it doesn't matter how much I train, right? There is no training like when I sign up for a tournament, right? When I sign up, I like to go compete in the World Championship. They run it. It used to be in Long Beach. Now I'm getting old, and so they run the Masters out in Vegas. But if I sign up for the World Championship, that is, minimum 6 months of preparation. There's something very different about knowing that you'll compete and maybe get beat, I guess, out there and just going to train for fun, right? There's something that gets you out of bed a little bit earlier, makes you train a little bit harder, just knowing that that tournament is coming up. So I think that that's true for Ryan Larkin race as well. Once you commit to the actual event, now you find purpose, right? Now you find a direction. Now you're not a rudderless man. Now you have a course that you have charted and a destination, and now becomes the journey, right? So I reference that to the sleep science stuff as well, because the truth is what we're doing is dialing in our sleep by changing our sleep dojo, light, sound, and temperature, that sort of thing, changing our behaviors, our sleep schedule, and so forth. But we're doing this together, right? We sign up for the course, we run cohorts, and so we'll have 10, 15 people. People hold each other accountable. We're on this journey together, and we've set that goal of completing this course, and that gives us motivation. In fact, even if we didn't do anything amazing, just simply being in a study has shown to improve performance, specifically surrounding sleep. We can see sleep performance improve when someone just joins a study with no actual implementation of techniques. They just do better because of the commitment, right? So then you add in all the cool things that we bring to the course, and all of a sudden people have clinically significant results. Am I doing anything directly for their sleep? No. I'm actually just doing stuff with them together while they're awake. And the sleep then becomes more of a barometric pressure guide, if I can use that analogy, to how their life is going. And that's why you see people sleep like a baby out in nature, right? Because they're back in a rhythm. Things are going good. The stress is melted away. And all of a sudden they can sleep. And when you have better sleep, the more consistent nights of good sleep you have, the better endocrine function or hormonal function you'll have, which adds to feeling better, which is a lot easier to do things when you feel good. And it is kind of I'd say it's definitely a pillar. So if we get our sleep dialed in, which means we have to look at a lot of different things to be able to get that sleep that we want. Because when we're asleep, we're not actively doing anything unless you're in a lucid dream. That's a whole nother podcast. Then I would say some of the other things are of absolute importance are nutrition and exercise. Outside of that, things that I spend a significant amount of time on, like stretching, things that improve my breathing, connection with my neurology, like my nervous system, really flushing out my system, monitoring different things that are popping up and addressing them, either holistically, Ayurvedically, naturally. There will never be a time where my first resort is to go to pharmaceuticals. There's plants and herbs. I mean, just getting off of Coca-Cola or getting off of alcohol or getting off highly refined, produced, commercially available foods in your grocery store everywhere in America, just getting off the junk food, which almost all the food is junk food, can drastically change all of your markers. It can improve your sleep. Anyways, yeah, so I think sleep is absolutely a pillar of health and it interacts with the exercise and the nutrition. But without sleep health, you can almost guarantee a shorter, more miserable life.
So listening to you speak and seeing you work, seeing the amazing people that you brought together, I would say that what I've observed and from what I'm hearing you say is that you operate in a lot of ways as a very great facilitator. You facilitate the environment and you facilitate the conditions for other people to succeed in some of these categories. So, without naming names, can you tell me about a win? Can you tell me about someone that your charity has helped? Maybe they were on the brink, what they came back from, and how much different their life looks because they got the right intervention.
Yeah, well, our primary, so when we applied to the IRS for our 501c3 status for the Ryan Larkin race, what we wrote in our application and what we're sticking to is all the money goes towards, of course, paying for the race, but it goes towards 62 Romeo sleep program, which interestingly, we were running the sleep program for 5 years before we started the nonprofit. We started the nonprofit to provide free scholarships for veterans. We immediately started serving veterans. Now, we were always starting veterans, but that money went directly towards those folks that need help now. So we're already into our second cohort since the race. And the race was what, like a month ago, a couple months ago? So we're using that money actively. We also committed to a much less developed project, which is the retreats out here at Happy Canyon Ranch where I'm at. We're hosting the first one since the race in September. And that'll be a father-son retreat. And that will be a good chance for fathers to show leadership to their sons. There's been a bizarre oppression of masculinity in this country and sort of a inoculation of good, strong father figures and sort of a downplaying of all of the wonderful, energetic aspects of being a young boy in school, which are typically allowed. The school systems are heavily focused on the female learning style as well as a liberal mindset. I'm not saying that's bad, but it's definitely unbalanced. And so what we've seen is a tremendous impact on our country where 30% of the males under, I think, 22 are choosing not to date. They've been completely cut out of the dating system because the entire system is against them. So we don't think that's cool. We think it's okay to be a man. We think masculinity is what has kept us safe and thriving for all of existence. And I think having an opportunity for men to communicate leadership and values that have been passed down through their family to their son, I think that is a premium, right? That is something that is not as available as it was 50 years ago. So bringing guys out for father-son retreat, it's not the only retreat we do. We do veteran retreats. We'd love to do husband and wife retreats, stuff like that. But the father and son specifically is a really unique opportunity for us we teach fathers and then the fathers teach back their sons, have great bonding, have great leadership opportunities. Sometimes the sons can see their fathers in a new light. But anyways, that's the description of that. And it's a little bit less developed. We've only been doing it a couple of years. So you'll probably see less of those retreats, but they are existent. And that is the other half of what our charity's focused on. So outdoor retreats here at Happy Canyon Ranch and 62 Romeo Sleep Program for veterans, first responders. Money's going directly towards that.
It's fantastic. So I'm going to pull back around just for a second, just 'cause I think it's extremely important. But you've noticed you've identified some failures in this system. Failures in the medical system, failures in the veteran system, failures in the educational system. And you've done work to try to improve those. And bring it back to Ryan and his conviction and what I realized from his struggle. And he also ran headfirst into a lot of these system failures. The VA either misdiagnosing him or just feeding him pills or treating the wrong symptoms or treating the wrong things with the wrong items, gaslighting him, telling him that, oh, you're fine. It's just PTSD. Oh, it's just this over here. And he kept repeating, no, there's something physically wrong with my brain. No, there's something wrong with me that you're not letting on, that you're not even taking the time to identify. And he ran into that system failure. And he had such strong personal belief, such strong conviction that there were physical things wrong and that he could make a difference for the next generation. Unfortunately, it resulted in him taking his life because of that strong conviction to pave those ways for others. And his dad carrying that banner, going through the medical research, and he donated his life to science. Before he did it, he said, no, I'm donating my body to science because I'm telling you right now, there's things that you can't see with your physical eyes, but that are very real. And we need to find the solutions to them. And buddy, he signed that check. He did. And he had that conviction and he went through with it in very, very dramatic ways. And what he did there to open up these doors for so many people behind him is extremely noble. While it's tragic, it's extremely noble. And I'm so thankful that you are dedicating so much of your life and so much of your time to fight these system failures, to find ways to be a catcher's mitt, to plug in those gaps for so many people who don't know the right way or are just lost. Maybe they know the right way, but they need somebody there to kind of guide them and to push them along that way. So you've built an incredible community, a great catcher's mitt for people that are struggling. And you've got so many different categories that you're working in. You've got the father and son retreat. So what's the vision? What's going on next? I know you've told me about a lot of the categories. What are your next big targets that you're focused on right now that's going to carry this forward and that's going to help Ryan help so many other people?
Thank you for saying all those positive things about Ryan. And one thing's for sure, his death has impacted so many people, from New York City Presbyterian Triage Center to the brain health clinics to the sleep programs that I've created. Hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people have been positively impacted by the untimely death of Ryan Larkin. So, we're all going to die, but I doubt most of us will have that type of an impact on society. And so that's good. I'll say that, you give me a lot of credit, but honestly, man, I don't really have a plan. I'm not brave enough to go head to head against the VA. I actually kind of avoid conflict. I do acknowledge and I tell the truth about what I see, which is these people are profiteering and it's not good and you're damaging lives. But I don't necessarily go head to head to fight with them. I just sidestep them because the light and the way is obvious to me. And so, like you said, I just facilitate. I'm doing God's work, man. Like, I can't take credit for any of this. I don't really have any ulterior motive or any higher arching goals. I'm just doing what I see to be the right thing with the abilities that I have, no more, no less. And if it all fails, I don't really care. I'm doing the right thing and whatever happens is meant to happen, right? So what's on the list for the next things coming up? We've got the father-son retreat in September. If you are a father, you don't have to be a veteran. If you're a father with a son, I think we like 5 to 13 years old. After 13, they stop listening anyways, right? But if you are interested in doing that, we have some openings there. I'm probably not going to take more than about 10 people, but we do still have some availability. We have a gala coming up that's kind of private and hush-hush, but if you are somebody that would like to get a hold of very special, one-of-a-kind items and a very interesting experience that we're hosting in Telluride, Colorado, I just can't tell all the secrets because we have a lot planned and it's going to be so fun. The stuff that we do, nobody else is doing. I think as people are just focused on profit, we don't care about profit. We just want to have the most incredible experience possible. So that gala, we have a lot of tricks up our sleeve and it's going to be fun. I can't say any more than that, but there is some availability in that, even less than the father-son retreat. That's more of a black tie thing. So if you're into that, you can reach out to us and maybe We can talk about if it's a good personality fit, if we want to kind of let you into the club, that kind of thing. So there are some options there. But the big thing, what I will say is that the flagship auction item at the gala in Telluride in October is something that we're going to offer the donors that show up to that gala. It's called Spy Games. And I used to be in tactical surveillance operations in the SEAL teams, and I was kind of good at it. And so I got all of my buddies who are good at this stuff, and we're going to run an experience in the streets of an unnamed city. We already have the city. We already have the local authorities. We're working in lockstep with them. But we're going to have an experience like you've never seen before. This isn't the typical thing where, you take guys out shooting with SEALs. I've never really been a big fan of that. I want to do stuff that's a little bit more creative, a little bit more, you kind of got to get into the role. Very exciting, very difficult, very strategic. And that is exactly what we're doing with the Spy Games. And the only way to get to that is through the gala. But that, my friend, will be quite the experience. That's going down in February in a particular city. And then the result of that exercise, that evolution, is to capture the intelligence from the enemy, right? That's all I'll say about that. And that intelligence leads to the mission that kicks off the 2027 Ryan Larkin Invitational Adventure Race, June 11th through 13th this next year. So that's what I've got cooking.
Dude, I'm so excited. I love what you're doing and the way that you're blending it. So, okay, perfect segue from something that I witnessed in the event, in the race. I love how you're tying all these together, how you're making it weave and everything brings together. Another thing that I think you did that was very important, but was not really advertised, was not really promoted, if you will, was the aspect of homecoming. And some of the race participants were veterans. Some of them were first responders who maybe don't get all of the limelight attention that veterans do or SEALs do. And living in quote unquote those shadows can be its own challenge in and of itself. Like you said, we get healthcare. While it may not be the most perfect system, there's something there. Other units might not. But what I think is common with a lot of veterans and a reason that a lot of them do find a lot of struggles is being just hitting whiplash with disillusionment with reality whenever they do get back and they're realizing some of these very painful and inconvenient truths. And you look at the Vietnam veterans who were just completely looked down on because of the cultural pulls that were going on at the time and spit on and just degraded in many ways. And they didn't have that homecoming. A lot of our peers, they come back to a broken system with broken bodies and broken minds. And while we have advertising campaigns and branding that says, yes, the VA is taking great care of us, or we have all of these things that are making sure these things don't happen, they face a very different reality. But what you did was you created a challenge, and now you're creating the wormhole into the challenge and the mission, right? You created the challenge and you gave them a very ball-busting experience, a very difficult race, but you gave them a homecoming. You gave them the fanfare. You gave them flags. You gave them a parade that they got to come home to. And in so many ways, that is extremely healing and what so many people need that they aren't getting. And again, you're facilitating it.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
I am so grateful for that. I'm loving everything. I'll give you the stage. You can have the last word. And I just want to say thank you for creating that experience for so many people so they can find those layers of healing.
Well, I just want to say thanks, Brent, for all the help you've given me, specifically in the race, and also for allowing other people to hear my voice through your podcast. I think you're doing great work. Honestly, my life is not necessarily easy living out in nature, and I don't have a home. I mean, I have a home, but I don't have like a house. I refuse to get into the cookie cutter house lifestyle. We call it building outside the box in this community. So I have a hard life. Sometimes water is hard to come by. Making sure that temperature regulation, food, cooking, availability of resources, these things are difficult. And I choose this lifestyle because it provides freedom for me. And the freedom is very simple, right? It's probably one of the most important things in my life, I think in history, in any man's life. But that affords me the opportunity to not be beholden to forces or powers that would lead me to bad decisions, right? I just do what's right and I try to have fun. And I think everybody wants to come have fun with me out here in Colorado. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You've got a great place to land. I know you're doing a lot of development there to improve Happy Canyon Ranch. So it's only getting better.
I appreciate your support, brother.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you so much for everything you're doing. I know that you've got a lot going on and you're extremely busy. You took some time out of your schedule to meet up with me, and that means a lot.
Happy to.
Absolutely. You have a great day and keep doing awesome work out there. I can't wait to see all of those buildings out there at Happy Canyon Ranch.
Thank you. See you soon.
Have a good one. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this episode with Rob Sweetman, the race director of the Ryan Larkin International Adventure Race and the founder of the 62 Romeo nonprofit, helping people improve their sleep. And whenever you can improve your sleep, that's a domino for so many people. So many other areas of your life are going to be benefited. So we're getting into maybe our favorite segment of the show, our DB&C, Debrief and Cocktails. So go ahead, pour yourself something strong, take a deep breath, and let's break down what we got from that conversation with Rob Sweetman, what it taught us about resetting our mind, leading our teams, and finding our purpose. First, we have a central tenet to the SEAL teams, to any type of special warfare community, that these teams are built on a reputation. They're built on trust. They're built on a strict order of operations that Ryan Larkin exemplified. Team gear, personal gear, self. That was the mantra going through BUDS, going through SEAL training and the ULTs, unit level training going into the deployments. You come back from a mission, you make sure all of your team gear is taken care of. Then you prep your gear, you reset your kit, you take care of the things that you're going to be using on your next mission or in the future. And then finally, you take care of your body, your other operating system. Then you take your shower, you get your food, and you chill. So if you take care of yourself and you go to sleep while everybody else is still working, you're going to lose a lot of respect in the room. So daily application. Take a look at your own environment this week, whether it's at work, in your marriage, or maybe it's even with your friends, relationships you're trying to cultivate. Are you packing up your personal gear while the team is still struggling? Start building that unbreakable trust by actively looking for the collective burden and carrying it before you clock out. Make a difference in it. Change that environment. Make it better. Number 2, Rob made a profound point about human nature. Casually training rarely transforms you. It wasn't until he signed up for a jiu-jitsu world championship match or built the brutal 62-mile adventure race that he found his true north. When you commit to a hard event, you stop being rudderless. So put a hard date on that crucible. Draw that line in the sand. Say, hey, I'm going to do this. We heard about that from our No Zero Days guys. They said we're doing 62 miles for our 62nd birthday, and they signed up for a 62-mile race. So in your daily life, stop saying, I want to get healthier, I want to read more, or I want to work on my mental health. Vague goals are going to lead vague results, and you're going to find yourself in that grind 2 years from now. So pick something substantial, a race, a retreat, a massive project. Put a hard date on the calendar, and then reverse engineer that and start working towards that goal. Let the impending reality of that crucible force you into the daily rhythm of discipline. Discipline is going to set you free. We've heard that from a lot of the other talking heads, all the other individuals. So discipline is huge. It's a major part of success. And if you can turn those habits, those disciplines into habits, then you're making a steam engine locomotive that will just keep crushing. And point number 3, starve the allostatic load. Rob talked about the allostatic load, that one is major issue in operator syndrome and the high-risk special operations community, but it also affects all of us, whether you're a firefighter, a police officer, an accountant who's working in a grinding, stressful job where they're continually keeping you on edge. The cumulative crushing pressure of modern life, trauma, and hypervigilance leads us so many times to self-medicate, and that causes a spiral. The ultimate antidote that he was talking about on our show, it's not a pill. For him, it's a 4-day retreat, a 4-day reset in nature. Let the temperature changes, the natural light physically recalibrate your nervous system. If you're redlining, waking up with a racing heart, or feeling trapped in a chaotic loop, get out of the concrete box. You don't need to go on a 62-mile adventure race to get a reset. Block out some time, put it on the calendar, make it non-negotiable. Maybe it's a weekend trip, whatever it is. Strip away the artificial lights, leave the phone in the car, let the quiet woods and the sound of nature, the sound of the insects, the sound of the wind, let that reset your circadian rhythm. And most importantly, as you go throughout your week this week, cheers to Ryan Larkin. Cheers to him, the sacrifice that he made, and to the men and women stepping into the arena every single day, doing the hard work. Go conquer the week.